Welcome to Women Lead, a production of the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, Inc. We are your hosts. I'm Michelle Austin Pammies.
I'm Bernadette Norris Weeks.
And I'm Kathy Eggleston.
The Women of Color Empowerment Institute recently held its annual conference at the Four Seasons in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The theme of the conference was Going Deeper, Mission, Purpose, and Legacy. We had a great conference, and we want to share some highlights with you today. Now, this has been an unprecedented few years, and while all of our past conferences have been hard-hitting, leadership-focused, and policy-driven, so policy-driven that we even had C-SPAN a couple of times, but this year was different. We actually wanted to unplug and do self-analysis and reflection about what's been going on in our lives and where we are now.
Well, that self-analysis was just what the doctor ordered because the reviews have been incredible. We heard from so many speakers, include Erica Royal, CEO of the Life Coach School, who guided us through a series of self-assessments to take a snapshot of where we are in relation to our mission for a more purposeful life. We heard from Jane Marks, the longest-serving psychotherapist in Florida, who taught us how to recognize stressors and take charge of our life. Let's watch Jane.
So this is the only thing I will want you to take notes on during the whole course of this. So write this down. For a patient, or for many of us to experience what I consider maximum functioning, the first thing I have my patients do for 7 days in a row, and I always tell them, you never have to do this again, but you're going to do this for me before we begin our work. And that is one, I want you to start walking or running or biking 45 minutes every single day before you bring yourself back to my office. That's just number one. Number two, no caffeine. And if, I know, that's how we operate. However, if you are full of caffeine and you do energy drinks and everything else under the sun, you drag it back 80% because I've got to see what maximum functioning is. Caffeine exacerbates anxiety. Get it out of your system. Just for 7 or 8 days. And again, I always tell my new patients, you never have to do this again, but for 7 days, you're going to do this. All right. Number 3, your diet. I change your diet. 20 grams of protein 3 times a day. And the reason for that is that it stabilizes your blood sugar. When your blood sugar is stable, you're not likely to experience breakthrough anxiety. All right, and finally, meditation. I had them download an app, either Calm, Breathe, Headspace, the freest one that happens to be there that month. And here's what you have to do. You have to meditate 10 minutes every single day at the very same time. Now, let me tell you what happens with patients. And this happens with roughly 80% of my patients that come through. They come back 1 week later. I have every single patient, that experienced no less than 40% improvement, because what has happened is that this has been intentional self-care. Here's what I want you to take away today, is that self-care and balance are crucial things that you must be a part of your life for the rest of your life. It takes practice, it takes intention, it takes learning, and it takes fierce and fabulosity, because that's what I see today. It's just fierceness and fabulosity. And so when it comes to our overall mental health, it is a matter of choice, it is a matter of practice, it is a matter of intention.
We learned how to interpret and benefit from generational differences from Jill Hellman, Chief Executive of the Strategy Lab, and how to improve life through mindfulness from Melissa Dunn, founder of Dunn Wisdom. Then our keynote speaker, Sadiqua Reynolds, president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League, showed us all how to find purpose in a changing world. Here's Sadiqua.
This is the thing. This life is short. You have to tap into your purpose. And when you find that thing that you are supposed to do, when you find the thing that God created you for, you have an obligation to do it, to see it through. You have an obligation to be the best version of yourself. Nobody is served by you pretending to be small. Nobody is getting better because you are being humble. You owe us something. You owe the ancestors something. We are under attack in this country. Black people in general, people of color, always. We have something to do. Reproductive rights. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but you ought to care that somebody wants to tell you what to do with your body and how you should do it. I'm not here to talk about your religion or what God you serve, but I'm saying there is some obligation to raise your voice even when they are not coming for you. I want us to stand up and walk in our purpose, to do what we are supposed to do. Part of the challenge of what is happening in this country is because enough of us are not standing up, because we think it doesn't affect us. Well, it does, all of it. We are stronger than we realize. I am standing here because people made chitlins. Made chitlins. Don't you ever tell me what you cannot do. And believe me, there were days on that $53 million trail when I didn't believe, but I said it anyway because I knew who planted the seed. And so I want to say to you, on your lowest days, and you will have them, and you will have them even when you do not believe, just say it anyway. And I want to say this to you before I go. I watched Maya Angelou once on Oprah, and she told this story. She said she was in her bed late one night, and all of a sudden she heard the door open. And then she heard footsteps coming towards her bedroom. And she leaned up in the bed, and she reached into her nightstand. She opened the drawer. She reached in and grabbed her gun. And she said out loud in that Maya voice, "Is this what you are willing to die doing?" And there was a pause. And then she heard footsteps going the other way. And then she heard the door. Ladies, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're doing. But every day, ask yourself, is this what I am willing to die doing? If it's not, do something else. Do something else. I am Sadiqa Reynolds. I am president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League and CEO of Perception Institute. God bless you, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We'll be right back with more highlights from other conference speakers. Stay tuned.
This is James.
Jimmy!
Mom, Dad, this is James.
James? James Harrison from Roosevelt High?
Jimmy! Yeah! Oh! You good, Jimmy?
The 2021 Toyota RAV4.
Jimmy!
The RAV for all of you. Right now, lease a new 2021 Toyota RAV4 LE for just $249 a month for 36 months. Toyota. Let's go places.
At the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, our mission is to enhance and expand leadership by women of color. We do this in a variety of different ways, including but not limited to providing mentorship opportunities for young professionals where we assist in helping to create paths to leadership. We empower women to develop capacities for social change. We produce programs that promote heritage awareness, and we provide training opportunities for business and government. Our institute holds seminars focused on professional success techniques, and we host many other events such as our popular Advocates for Change and Leaders Connect. The Women of Color Empowerment Institute publishes a magazine called Women Lead. Our signature event is the Women of Color Empowerment Conference, a yearly conference where hundreds of leaders gather from all across the United States and beyond. To learn more about membership and how you can support our programs or be a sponsor of the Women Lead TV, visit us at nationalwomenofcolor.com. Again, that's nationalwomenofcolor.com.
The law office of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell is a full-service law firm practicing in the area of governmental law, including the representation of municipalities, civil litigation, personal injury, real estate, and corporate transactional matters. With over 100 years of collective experience, our attorneys are admitted to practice before state courts, federal courts, and the United States Supreme Court. We are conveniently located in downtown Fort Lauderdale and can be reached at 954-768-9770. Or for more information about the law firm of Austin Pammies Norris Weeks Powell, visit our website at apnwlaw.com. That's apnwlaw.com.
Welcome back to Women Lead. We are sharing with you highlights from the recent Women of Color Empowerment Conference. The conference included a variety of panels that went in depth on numerous issues. We heard from a panel of women who have demonstrated that they are not afraid to take courageous journeys to discover their purpose. Let's hear from some of those women.
In 2012, when Kenya, my country, Kenya, was going through an election, and we didn't know if we were going to have a peaceful election or not, right? And all I knew how to do was take selfies and post them on Facebook. So I was like, how do we take a selfie with a purpose? How can I inspire conversation from something as simple as a selfie? So I started taking selfies and holding a paper up saying I am Kenyan. Then I asked my friends who are not Kenyan to do the same, and their friends are going to be like, wait, but you're American, why are you saying you're Kenyan? And then they start talking about the movement, and in 4 days we went viral. And in 8 months we had a global audience of 8 million, and I was a TEDx speaker, and I was named as one of the top 10 teens alongside Malala. This was in 2015. So top 10 teens in the world who changed the world alongside Malala. So I feel that the confidence in me comes from God and my community, and just understanding and seeing that anything is possible as long as I put my mind to it.
And I am not somebody else's mission-driven personality. I wear blue lipstick. Almost, that's just the beginning of the difference that I try to make in my own life. So, in as much as when you're in the State Department, they tell you to do it this way, and I might do it this way. And the biggest thing that I loved was being involved with all the indigenous people in the country. And that's the last thing they tell you to do, because you have to implement policies that may not be what they want, but it will be in the interests of our government. So you don't get chummy with the people that you have to implement rules upon or convince to do things your way. So the fork in the road, if I want to call it that, but I really just like to take all the thongs on the fork and work them. So I just, at that time, said, I'm not going to do this anymore. A couple policies came down that I knew I could not say out of my mouth, and I just decided to go to the village and learn how to make earrings. Okay, that was one of the things I did. So that I would say that is the most specific, one of the things that I made a break on.
And if you'd ever want to learn from somebody who was strong as a bull elephant, but as delicate as a flower with the morning dew, that was that principal. I hate to call her name because she said it's going to be recorded, but her name was Blanche General Ely. She didn't know me. I didn't know her. She called me up on the telephone and said she was looking for a good French teacher, and she's offered me the job. Remember, I was from Talladega, Alabama. What do I know about traveling on a bus by myself from Talladega, which is probably about, 800 miles from here. And I traveled on a bus to come here all alone. I met some other teachers who were from other areas, and we joined a little group, because we didn't know anybody. Others didn't know anybody either. But I don't want to make this go on and on. But throughout my career, I was always in a position where if I had a job to do, it could be sweeping the floors or pulling weeds from the flower garden. I did the best job I could do. And then somebody would come tapping.
Now let me tell you how God directs your path. My core is Christ, so you just have to bear with me because he's in everything that I say. Went up to the law division, wonderful lawyer, Mr. Greenberg. I will never forget him. I said, Mr. Greenberg, Mel, I want to be in the theater. Do you mind if I go to my auditions on my lunch hour? Now, I don't know if he thought I was telling him, I don't know if he believed me. He said, yeah, you go to auditions on your lunch hour. So anytime you see a newspaper with showbiz or variety, I'd look at those pages. Had an audition. You never knew you were going to have an audition because I didn't have an agent at the time. So I went for my audition. Now, the audition was Uptown Broadway, 50th Street. I'm at Wall Street. Takes an hour to get up there. So I ate on the train, ate my little sandwich on the train. Always had a bag in my hand because you had to change your clothes. When you go for an audition, you got to look the part. You go back home to the office, you got to look that part. So that's what I did. I did this for 5 years, but I always had a plan. One day I came back. Did you get it? Yes. Yes, I got it. The fork in the road was this. I want to stay on point. After I told Mel Greenberg I got this, he said, are you going to leave? What are you going to do? I said, I'm quitting. Vera, you're going to quit a federal government job. I was only like 19, 18 years old. I was young. You're going to quit a federal government job to go for work for summer stock. Summer stock is 2 months. Yes, I did. See, it's the risk.
An additional panel discussed what topics all leaders should know today, including voting, housing, and business development. One important lesson learned was how to pursue business opportunities through government contracting. Let's listen.
What I want you all to understand is voting matters. Whether it's midterms or any election, it matters. Because if you sit back and complain and don't take any action, you are part of the challenge, not the solution, right? At AARP, we know that the 50-plus voters are the strongest ones. They show up and show out. But I also, what we've been engaging in, I was in Orlando this week because we've been doing community conversations with legislators. So in Orlando, we had 34 people that are running, Republicans and Democrats, running for office, talking to an audience of many ages, but having them share their views. Because what's happened, we're in a sort of really strange place in our world right now here in this country, and even more specifically in Florida, in that legislators, many, not all, have taken on this stance of they're doing what they want to do. It's no longer they're serving their constituents. Instead, it's they showing up and that's it. We had one of the legislators this week was a person, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's somebody who he's a white man, and in the last 5 years has been caught wearing blackface and sold weapons and talks about specific areas of color as crime-ridden, rat-ridden, and that sort of thing. We cannot sit by and let that stuff go on. And we cannot depend on those people that are 50 and over to get us through this storm. It takes all of us, not some of us.
Affordable housing has been an issue in this country for a long, long time, and I'll touch on a couple things. But here in Broward particularly, it literally is a crisis situation. Those of you that aren't for Broward may not know it, but you're sitting in the county that is the least affordable county in the United States of America. And how do we know that? It got a lot of press around the January, February time when the difference between wages and home prices and rental prices in our metro area passed San Francisco and New York and made the Miami, Broward, and West Palm Beach metro area the worst in the country. 3 million, 2 million, 1 million. We happen to be 2 million stuck right in the middle. But Broward, within those three, is the single county of the 67 counties in the state of Florida that have the least number of units for people earning 60% of area median income. We have 25 available units for every 100 families making 60% of the area median income. Now, why is that particularly difficult? And Sandy knows this, and this is a huge challenge for Sandy in recruiting and retaining employees. 54% of the employees in Broward County are in service industries, making 60% or less of median income. So there's only 25 units for every 100 of those people, of all of the employees in Broward County. So, and I could go on with the statistics, but I'll give you a couple of real quick ones. In terms of home ownership in our county, the median home price now just ticked up to $600,000. Only 8% of every family in Broward County can afford the median priced home.
Example, DOT. The now of where we are is understanding in your state, DOT, Department of Transportation, is a part of the 49 CFR Code of Federal Regulations, Part 23 and 26, which is the DBE program, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and for those activities inside of our airports, ACDBE, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. So if you didn't know that, across the country, DOT, if there's any road work, anytime DOT spends money, they must use DBEs. When you think about the federal infrastructure bill, Google the federal infrastructure bill. If any of you are in here right now and you do community planning, you do event planning, you do community outreach, this bill is looking for you. Offices like Shelby's, offices like mine, offices in every single state has to do a specific percentage of outreach to make sure we go tell everybody about the federal infrastructure. So someone in public relations and communications or outreach, there's an opportunity contractually for you in your area and beyond. And the reason I'm saying beyond, if you get certified as a DBE, it's not just your state. You can be a DBE in as many states that will have you, or as many states that you have an opportunity. So I always encourage folks, just to make it short. If you go, and since you're here, I want to show you mine anyway, go to my website. Go to broward.org/econdev. That's short for economic development.
We discussed topics of how to accumulate generational wealth and ensure a legacy. Our panelists included a trust and estates attorney, a senior financial advisor, and the vice president of a community foundation.
When we think about generational wealth, having insurance policies there for your beneficiaries, put the right trust and wills in place to make sure the money is going to who you want it to go to, and they're receiving it the way they want to receive it, okay? Now, so that's the infrastructure. So now when you're looking at the actual investments themselves, understanding the true underlining of each investment, because everything we do in life, there's a risk involved. And I always look at, whenever I decide personally to go into investment or introduce one of my clients to investment, I always look at the exit strategy. What can a person do? Yes, ma'am. Loud. I'm sorry. I apologize. I always look at an exit strategy. Okay. What can go wrong in this situation? Who's the underwriter? What sector are we investing in? What the conversation around that? And if I needed my money back, how long would it take for me to receive my money back?
But when it comes to people of color, especially women more than men do not have wills, do not have trust, do not engage in estate planning. And that is based on studies that have been done, not by me, but by professionals. And it's really unfortunate because you will outlive, those of you who are married, you will more than likely, according to studies, outlive your husbands, at least by 5 years. So you will be the one that will be talking about this will. You'll be the one that's going to probate court if that's the case. So estate planning really is about your family. It's really not about you. It's about the people you say that you love. And so if you love them, you will engage in estate planning. And the will is a basic. If you have a will, it is going to go to probate, no matter what it says. A will goes to probate in the state of Florida. So you need to make sure that, and if I sound like I'm preaching, I am, you need to make certain that you take care of your business. You need a power of attorney. You need a will and or a trust. You may need both, right? There's a pour over will that goes with your trust. Maybe you need that. You need to have a living will. And that is not the will that you have so you can live, right? As one of my friends said to me, the living will is what you want to happen medically. Do you want to be resuscitated or not? There's some people who know, they're like, no way, I don't want to be resuscitated. My mom said 2 things when she dies that she wants to have happen. I don't want to be resuscitated, and I don't want to be on Facebook, okay? So we're going to make sure, right? Yeah, very important. So whatever it is that you want to make those things known. And how do you do that? By engaging in the process.
Our goal is to uplift our entire community. And we do that by providing some leadership on complex issues in our community. We have 4 pillars that we focus on, and those are our healthy and thriving communities, art and culture, youth enrichment and education, and then social and economic mobility. And one of the things that we do in order to provide leadership on those issues, obviously we're constantly doing research, we're collaborating with others, we're trying to drive change to issues, but we're able to do that because we are Broward County's endowment. And that's an unusual concept, I think, for some folks, because when you think about raising money for an organization, it's often to support the operations of the organization. The dollar comes in, they go right back out to the community. But in our case, 90% of the philanthropic dollars that come to the Community Foundation are actually in individual endowed funds. And they've been set up by generous people in the community who have wanted to make a difference in the community, and they create an individual named endowed fund with us to tackle an issue that is important to them. So my job at the Community Foundation is probably the best in the world. I get to lead our efforts to grow philanthropy throughout Broward. And we do this, and my team and I do this, by having lots of conversations with people who have gotten to a point in their life where they're actually thinking about philanthropy, and they're thinking about their legacy, and they're thinking about what impact they want to have in the community through their charitable endeavors.
There was something for everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at our next conference. To engage with us throughout the year, be sure to find us online at nationalwomenofcolor.com or on our social media pages. And until the next time, be empowered.